Hi there, this is Alfie Whattam. I'm London's tech recruiter and the host of the London Tech Talks podcast on LinkedIn, where I speak to different tech leaders across London, like Giles, Lindsay, who's our guest today, and we'll be speaking about a few different areas. So thanks for joining us. Just to give a bit of context, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and that sort of thing?
Yeah, look, thanks very much. I'm Giles. As Alfie mentioned, I'm a technology leader working as a CTO in London, well, at home, normally in London. Been a software engineer for 25 years. And I sort of pretty much cut my teeth on everything in that space, from the small startups to the insanely large enterprises and everything else in between. For me, it's not just about the technology, though. For me, it's also the technology and the ways of working, the business agility that goes with that as well.
Awesome. And we were speaking earlier, you mentioned your term Generation Agile. Could you speak a little bit about this and the importance of having an agile team, given what's been happening these past few months with lockdown and whatnot?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of people coining this phrase and a lot of people sort of doing articles, but for me, it's really important, the premise of Generation Agile. We are Generation Agile, those people that have lived and breathed it for the last 20 years, since the creation of the manifesto in 2001. And actually, in fact, we're the ones that have lived through all of the failures as well as the successes of Agile in the workplace, across organizations, the pitfalls, the challenges, absolutely everything, the resistance to it as well. And we're the ones that actually need to overcome all of these and actually sort of set it up for success so that the next generation that follows on are actually working in a way that actually removes some of the friction that we've had throughout large parts of our career. And so that idea that we are Generation Agile is really key. I'm really now wanting to give back to the community from all the sort of the learnings, those successes and failures I've had in my career, to make sure that that next generation really are, as I said, set up for success, can go into the workplace and really enjoy it.
Awesome.
From that, I was going to say the element that actually working from home has actually changed systemic, practices within organizations because of COVID. And due to this, I think actually some of them are now really understanding the need for that agility across their entire organization. Now, Agile is not just for the software teams. I still have those conversations with people today at conferences, at meetups, at other events, and they sort of thank me for sort of sharing my musings and thoughts that actually it's much more than just for the software teams. But it is, and it is all about true business agility today, and actually sort of getting that mindset, that philosophy, that set of values about how we work smarter together across, regardless of what department we are in, we actually make that work. And of course, now that most of us have been working at home for the last 12 weeks, and new norms are starting to come about, I think this new business agility, this new approach is more key today than ever to make a success of business outcomes for organizations who do have their staff no longer sat in an office in London somewhere or wherever else around the world, and actually are remote and dispersed and disparate and are having to have obviously amazing calls like this with you across tools like Zoom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I completely second what you said around Agile not just being for a dev team or for IT. It's something that every single department needs to get on board with to make it a proper success.
Yeah, and the idea of business agility isn't new. There are institutions, there are lots of groups out there, but it's, in my mind, it's only something that's really been talked about over the last few years. It's not something that has been tackled throughout the entire existence of Agile over these 20 years, throughout this Generation Agile period. So from that perspective, I think it's we're trying to fix things that systemically we had hurting us for a good 15 years. And now we're only kind of just sort of going, oh yeah, we need to remove it. We have these problems. Oh yeah, we've got to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we've suddenly entered this kind of mindset to try and overcome these things. I genuinely believe, though, it is that same generation Agile. We started at probably the middle management, senior management world when Agile, first kicked off. And as such, our sphere of influence was only those people that we looked after within the family. We didn't have as much influence upwards to the executives and those senior managers who actually needed to change and evolve and come on the journey as well. And it's probably us now in Generation Agile, as we sort of become more senior within organizations, our sphere of influence is greater. We can actually have those open and honest conversations to CEOs, CIOs, and executive boards if need be, to get them to come onto that sort of same philosophy and approach and mindset as everybody else. And I think we're now having more successes because of it. But we had to wait those 20 years to get more senior within organizations until we could have those conversations, until bizarrely some people sort of started taking us more seriously.
Yes, no, absolutely. I completely agree. All right, so you've been in the industry for a while, as you just mentioned, Giles. A lot of people that watch these videos are just getting into tech. They're graduates, junior developers, that sort of thing. Have you got any advice for people that are just starting their tech careers?
I think that actually, if I'd had the opportunity 25 years ago, seems too long ago, to actually sort of reach out, be part of other tech, agile focused communities out there today, I think, again, we could have probably solved some of the problems we had right at the start of our careers a lot sooner. For me, I'm wanting to give back to that community, that same community, and I'm actually running a Agile Career Lean Coffee event on the 24th of July. It's up on meetup.com with a good friend of mine, and that's about us actually wanting to talk to those people about how do they advance their career within the Agile space, especially possibly within the Agile leadership space. How do they really understand and become a great Agile leader? Sort of winning the hearts and minds of those people potentially at the executive level and bringing them on the same journey as the rest of the organization. I think actually, when I was at university, we were taught about waterfall and V model, and waterfall isn't the enemy of Agile, even though lots of people believe it is. It does have its, right place in this world. However, I think if it was actually sort of systemically taught about a mindset and a philosophy and a proper way of working in technology degrees and courses that people can do, then I think, again, people would really be set up for success to sort of join organizations who may be going through some of these evolutions and changes or who already have, and therefore it's just norms. They're walking straight into a world that they already know about, have learnt about at university as well. And if that's the next stage beyond talking to new people who are trying to advance their career, and it's actually going and having some conversations possibly with some of those universities as well, please get in touch, because I'd love to be able to go in and sort of start having those conversations with lecturers and other people as well. How do you get this onto the courses so that people really are sort of bought into it for the future?
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, I'll tag you on LinkedIn so people can reach out if they do want to get in touch about that. And you mentioned, was it the 24th of July? 24th.
Yeah, 24th of July.
Well, I'll make sure this gets posted beforehand so people can check that out on meetup.com. And it was a coffee virtual conversation about Ireland and other areas.
Correct. Yeah, and it's just purely, your Agile career. What do you want out of it? Where do you want to go? What support are you looking for from the community, etc., etc. And it's about us being able to give back. Now that we've been through, as I said, the peaks of inflated expectations and the troughs of disillusionment, we now want to do something back for that community in the same way that somebody did that for me, 15, 20 years ago as well.
Yes. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Giles, and for everybody watching. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check that out on meetup.com, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, Alfie.